Tēnā koutou Ngati Porou, tēnā koutou kei roto i ngā tini āhuatanga o te wā. Kua tae mai anō tātou ki te wāhanga o te tau, ki te tuku atu i ngā ripoata ki a koutou, mō ngā mahi o ngā kamupene i te tau ko ta hake nei. Ko Matanuku Mahuika taku ingoa, ko au te tiamana o te kamupene whairawa o Ngati Porou, ara te Ngati Porou Holding Company. Greetings everybody, I'm Matanuku Mahuika and I'm the chairman of the Ngati Porou Holding Company, and today I'm going to give you an overview about the activities of the company in the past financial year. This year has been another solid year for the company. Total revenues were $30 million for the year just past. The operating profit was $16.1 million, which represents a 7.4% return on equity. Total equity of the company grew from $217 million up to $230 million. The company also paid a further dividend to Te Rūnanganui o Ngati Porou of $3.8 million to fund the activities of the Rūnanganui and also to make provisions for distributions through Toitū. The majority of the result is attributable to the continued strong performance of the equities portfolio that the company operates. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, about 2/3 of the assets that are held by the Ngati Porou Holding Company are held in equities and are invested in a range of managed funds across a range of different portfolios in a range of different sectors. The world equity markets have continued to be strong in the last year, and this has meant that those investments have continued to do well. We are continuing to watch that space. There is a lot of uncertainty in the world, and this is contributing to some volatility in equities. So it's important that we remain prudent in the approach to our investments. In addition to the investments, the Ngati Porou Holding Company has interests in the Ngati Porou Seafoods group of companies, the Pakihiroa Farm, which operates the farm Pakihiroa on Mount Hikurangi, and also another farm property at Makarika. And we are the owners of the land that sits underneath what were the Crown Forests at Tokomaru and Ruatoria. Each of those parts of the business also performed well in the year that's just passed. The Ngati Porou Seafoods Group produced earnings of $1.4 million. This is down on previous years, but in the light of the volatility in the fishing industry and some of the challenges that we have in that sector, the board considers that that is actually quite a good result. Pakihiroa Farms produced a surplus of $400,000 or $8.4 million. This was on the back of some further investments in growing and developing the farm so that we can extend the footprint of the farming operations and increase the options that are available to us from having a larger supply base. The forestry continues to develop and grow. As at the date of this report, something like 4,500 hectares of land had been returned from the Tokomaru and Ruatoria forests. That part of it that's appropriate to plant, we have planted, which means that at this stage the holding company is the owner directly of just over 3,500 hectares of forest land. And this process will continue as the forests that are currently being operated by Ernst Law 1 continue to be returned, and this is a consequence of the Crown Forest licences terminating as those forests are cleared. There are some longer term decisions that we have to make in relation to forestry. Our position around the replanting of forestry has largely been in order to, if you like, maintain our position while we look for an investor and while we think about other ways of dealing with the forest lands that are being returned. These are not lands that have a lot of alternative uses to them. They are typically steep and are best suited to forestry. However, we do have some questions to ask ourselves about forest type and around the types of forestry regime that we might look to establish there. In addition to these things, the Ngati Porou Holding Company has been looking to develop and go into other activities. So, for example, we're expecting in 2019 to commence a tourism experience in relation to hikurangi. We have been planning this for the better part of the last 12 months. Part of it is because it currently is an untried proposition, but it is, as far as the research tells us, an iconic experience for this region and something which could contribute to the growth of tourism generally, not just for the benefit of hikurangi and the holding company. The other aspect of it is that we're wanting to be cautious in how we promote a tourism activity in relation to hikurangi. Because it is hikurangi, because it is the maunga tapu of Ngati Porou, we want to be certain that anything that we do in that space respects the cultural significance of the maunga and also the fact that we do conduct farming operations over Pākehīroa. So all of these things must be carried out in a way which is sensitive to the tapu nature of hikurangi and the other activities that Ngati Porou already conduct in relation to the maunga. Amanti tourism is an investment that we talked about last year, and it is still in its startup phase. We have taken the decision in the last year to impair that investment. That's not because of a lack of confidence necessarily on our part, but we think that it's a prudent course of action for us to take around how we manage that investment in our books. In addition to that, we have an agreement in principle with the Hauiti blocks to look at the establishment of a blueberry orchard. This has the potential to be, first of all, a really exciting cooperative activity between the Ngati Porou Holding Company and the Hauiti blocks. It will involve the establishment of a blueberry orchard of up to 5 hectares. At full capacity, that has the potential to produce an EBIT of $500,000 a year, but just as importantly, it would produce upwards of 20 jobs within that Tolaga Bay Uawa region, which is important, we think, for the continued growth and development of not just that region, but the Tairāwhiti. If we can make blueberries work in that area, then there is the potential to further grow and develop it out so that it becomes an industry which is of relevance and significance across the Tairāwhiti. Another activity that the holding company has been undertaking and which is important to Ngati Porou is the continued look at opportunities to develop manuka honey, or mere as we call it. In the year that's just passed, the holding company has invested in 350 hives in order for us to get all of the production off those hives. In total, there are 1,000 hives currently on land that the holding company owns. And we have a policy of, once that honey is harvested, holding that honey in order to allow it to grow so that we can get the benefit of the uplift in the UMF. In addition to that, we're continuing to work with land blocks within Ngati Porou to see if it's possible to develop a Ngati Porou-wide proposition, one which has us moving beyond being the simple renters of the land for the purposes of other people's hives to being parties that are actively involved in the production, processing and marketing of manuka honey. We've been working closely with the other members of the Mere Limited Partnership and have also been looking to work with those members in order to broaden the reach of that partnership and also the number of participants that are collaborating within Ngati Porou in relation to the manuka honey space. And finally, we have continued to support the development of a co-working space in Gisborne and looking at startup investment. So we have a view as a holding company that there is some scope for investment in smaller startup enterprises that can promote a diversification of the sorts of activities that occur within the Tairāwhiti. In that regard, Pōhewa is a design company which is attached to Amanti Tourism. It's 100% owned by the company and it provides design work to assist with Amanti's activities, but there is potential to grow that out. And we are continuing to look at other types of new enterprise that might assist in growing the Ngati Porou economy, but also broadening the reach of that economy into sectors where we currently don't invest and where perhaps we have the potential to create new pathways for our people into the future. So koinei aku whakaaro, aku whakaputa kōrero mo tēnei wā, kānui ngā mihi atu ki a koutou i tēnei wā o te tau, ana ngā wā o te kirihimete me te tauhau, ana kei te heke mai nei. Nā reira, tēnā koutou katoa.